Alright. The time has come for a new political movement within the United States of America that is truly post-partisan, not post-partisan of the Barack Obama style of post-partisanship. His is merely post-ideology. It's an ideology of moderate nihilism designed to average out positions on both sides so that there is no free speech, there is no privacy, there is no freedom to bear arms and things of that nature, because he's averaging out everything. And so would the Republican Party and the Democrat Party for the most part. There are a few good Democrats and a few good Republicans. There's Ron Paul, there's even Rand Paul, despite my distaste for his endorsement of Romney, stabbing his father in the back. But if he can transgress the Republican Party and take it over, that would be fine. But then you've got Dennis Kucinich. I don't know if I already mentioned him on the left. And what this is about is not the centrism that started in British politics. This is about a combination of, rather than an averaging down, an adding up of positions that are both left and right, and transgressing the limits between the parties, the ideologies, and essentially is libertarian to a certain degree, or to an extreme degree, and you might even call it somewhat anarchist. But there's at least 10 things that we must do, and this is what we're pushing for. The American Transgressive political movement main concern is to end our fascist economic system. And while many people do not like to use the term fascist, technically what corporatism is, which is what we have, a system in which the state helps redistribute wealth upwards and continue to centralize wealth into the hands of corporate entities, which now, for whatever reason, have individual rights. The only way we're going to end our fascist economic system is to overturn the Supreme Court decision that allowed corporations individual rights. Yes, individuals ought to be able to spend money on campaigns as much as they like, or whatever. But corporations are not individuals. They are made up of individuals. And to grant the corporation entity itself individual rights, or the status of individual, is to grant double rights, and it grants rights to something that has no responsibility. A corporation cannot face the death penalty. A corporation cannot face hardly anything that individuals are held responsible for. Yet corporations can ruin the environment, run their workers into the ground, murder, make products that can cause the deaths. But if an individual were to do that, it would be a much bigger deal, you know. But at any rate, we have to remove the corporation's individual status at the least, and at the most we must expand antitrust legislation to ban the formation of corporations, and move back to a more localized economy, free market, anarcho-capitalism, with a currency that is based on something real, something I would suggest going to the silver standard, having it backed by silver, because there's issues with the gold standard that may just allow wealth to continue to centralize. Second is a severe support for the Bill of Rights, and I'm specifically talking about the first two amendments. Freedom of speech and lack of censorship is something that we've lost culturally and politically in the past, since the 9/11 deal, which was over 10 years ago. And as Bill Maher states, it's time to move on and quit referencing that in politics. People stopped referencing Pearl Harbor and other things after 10 years it was used. We continue to use this to increase the size of government and to give away our privacy and individual rights. So we need strong support for First Amendment rights of free speech, freedom of religion, things of that nature. And that's where, many quote-unquote progressives would be welcome in this transgressive movement. The second part of that one is Second Amendment rights, gun rights. We need absolutely no gun control at all. An individual ought to be able to own whatever type of weaponry they wish. If that was the situation, I do not think you would have seen what was essentially a bureaucratic coup that happened in 2000, in which W became president, even though not only did he not win the popular vote, but really in the end, after the votes were counted in Florida, he didn't even win the electoral vote. But because of our bureaucracy, he was made president. And so no, it was not Ralph Nader's fault that Bush got elected in 2000. That is, which actually gets me to the third thing, is which we oppose the political monopoly. And the monopoly I speak of is not an oligopoly, or is that even a word? I don't know. But it's a monopoly. And it's two parties, quote-unquote two parties. Basically it is one corporatist party, centrist party. The Republicans and the Democrats are simply two factions within that party. They dominate everything. They keep valid third-party candidates who poll around 6% or more out of the debates, so that they continue to poll at 6% or more, not any more than that, because they do not want to face competition in politics. We know Obama likes to eliminate competition through what he and his party have done with Frank Dodd, and Romney brought this up in the debate last night, which surprised me, but it's eliminated competition in banking. And what has that done but led to low interest rates on your savings and high interest rates on the loans they give out, because all the local and community banks have been wiped out due to over-regulation on them and under-regulation on the too big to fail banks. So we must oppose this two-party system that is essentially a political and cultural monopoly. We're also committed to individual rights of all types, and here's where both libertarians, liberals, and even some conservatives can fit in, because we're committed to all individual rights. Also, gay rights such as marriage, anarcho-environmentalism. Something needs to be done to protect the environment, and it would be best, because I don't particularly trust the state to do anything about it, because they're run by corporations, nor do I trust corporations to do anything about it. Anarcho-capitalism would be a fine economic system, as stated, with the silver standard currency, which is number 9 I've listed here. But if that does not work, or if somehow this transforms back into state capitalism, which will just ultimately transform into democratic fascism, then we must be ready for anarcho-socialism or anarcho any other type of economic system that we get together as communities and decide upon. This is not, we do not need bureaucracies making such decisions for us. We must definitely, 5, break up the military-industrial complex, which is designed, again, to redistribute wealth from all the taxpayers, pay certain corporations like Lockheed Martin and other defense defense industry, which is really the war industry, and pay them ridiculous amounts for research and development as we continue to be an arms race that hasn't been necessary since the Soviet Union's collapse. Yes, we think that Reagan went in there and defeated the Soviets, but what happened was they went broke because they tried to keep up with us in an arms race. We will eventually go broke as well if we continue to do the same arms race. We must end the Patriot Act, number 6, and number 7. We must reverse the NDAA 2012, which gives the president or the government the right to assassinate American citizens and to hold them indefinitely. The Patriot Act allows them to spy on us and listen to our phone calls, look at our emails, watch everything we look on the internet at. This is a massive invasion of privacy as they attempt to control the internet itself, because it's the last frontier that they do not have total control of. It is the last place that has not been rationalized or gone through the process of what Weber called rationalization and modernization. Even though it doesn't make sense to say such a technology is not the result of modernization, it is, but it causes a breach, and it's allowed for a more postmodern type existence of diversity and things of that nature. Multiple opinions, right, left, and really I'd like to think beyond right wing and left wing, and that's the goal of this. 8 is to decrease the size of the federal government. We can dissolve the CIA, we can dissolve the FBI, we can dissolve the NSA, we can dissolve Homeland Security, we can dissolve all these massive programs. The DEA is another one, and bureaucracies that simply waste taxpayer money. But all these candidates want to talk about either entitlements or how we're going to, or increasing taxes. Like, there's not another option, like, let's quit spending so much money on war or law enforcement of laws that make no sense, which gets me to the 10th point, which is legalization of drugs. We constantly imprison people who are nonviolent criminals, and often worse, will become violent criminals once they've been in the system. Our prison system is one of the worst in the entire world. So this is just a short rundown. I don't have videos on this going into more detail, but it's basically: 1, we must end our fascist economic system; 2, support the Bill of Rights; 3, oppose the political monopoly; 4, committed to all individual rights, and also basically any type of anarcho system, anarcho-environmentalism, anarcho-capitalism. 5, we support breaking up the military-industrial complex. 6, ending the Patriot Act. 7, ending the NDAA 2012. 8, decrease the size of federal government. 9, switch to a silver-based economy. And 10, legalization of drugs and the ending of the war on drugs. We must get past this 9/11 mentality that government's job is to protect us from ourselves, and that we must give up freedom in order to be protected. I would rather face the possibility of a terrorist killing me than face the possibility of the government watching everything I say and trying to keep me in line with their disciplinary power. That's all.